Welcome to our meeting tonight. Thank you for being here. This time we'll open the meeting with prayer with Dr. Eason, please.
Thank you. Let's bow our head. Lord, we come to you today asking for your guidance, your wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Bless each member of the Trinity Valley Board of Trustees with the insight, the compassion as they carry out their duties. May their actions be guided by justice, fairness, and a deep commitment to the well-being of the students, faculty, and staff. May their effort be fruitful and their leadership be a source of inspiration to others. We offer this prayer in your name. We trust that you will bless each and every one of us. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Okay. This time we'll consider any public comments. Anybody here would like to speak? Seeing none, we'll move on and we're gonna, with Dr. Morrison, review and discuss the 25-26 budget proposal.
Yes, at this time, we have presented the budget to the board subcommittee, and we have provided the budget to all the individual board members. At this time, David's going to give a brief overview of the revenue side, and then I will go and give you a brief overview of the operational side. So I'm going to turn over to David on the revenue side.
Board, each of you should have a copy of this. I was out of town, but I believe we passed out booklets. Our tuition and fees, they continue to go up, and you'll see later in the financial, we're looking at 12.3 million next year, about a $920,000 increase. All of the things like housing, food services, bookstore, those are all trending up. We do those kind of a statistical look at as of say May with a add in for the summer. That's all trending up. About bookstore, I'm looking for it to do real well. One of the biggest increases this year, state appropriations. We're looking at $15.9 million. That's a $3.2 million increase over this year's budget. As y'all recall, February, they did what they call a dynamic adjustment. Basically, that means the first company will get you wrong. So, and then it's gone up even higher this year, the 15 million. So that's probably going to be a bigger increase than we're going to see in property taxes. Property taxes, well, let me back up to state appropriations and state benefits paid rather. That's where the state gives us money for health insurance and match retirement. We don't have that number yet. We're still waiting on that. We've estimated on prior years. Ad valorem taxes. I'm in the process right now of gathering the final numbers. I don't have Henderson County. Right here, we're showing a $1.7 million increase. I think it's going to be higher than that. The reason I hesitate is because Henderson County, well, Kaufman, for example, they put multi-billions of dollars under protest. They've certified to be that. Henderson County, they said to back off 50% of what was under protest. And so I still don't have those numbers. I think that $1.7 million increase is going to be much higher. The only other thing I will say, as y'all look at your books, is the fast revenue. It's an old story, but we still don't have spring. So this is based off of prior years. We set the budget at the same amount. So that's really no increase over last year, although we think there will be one. We're just being conservative. And so that leaves us with a $70.1 million revenue budget. It's a $6.2 million increase. Most of that obviously coming from state appropriations and property taxes. If y'all have any questions as you look at your books or whatever, before we meet on the 11th, try to answer.
They were supposed to have that to you on the 25th,
That would be correct. That's state law.
but they don't have it.
that in the past couple of years, Randy, that kind of got to be a habit because especially during COVID, there was so much stuff under protest. So what they do is a lot of times they will certify with estimates, which I always thought was kind of amusing, like, well, here's the certified numbers estimated. But I would think some of that's kind of come down, but after talking to Jason and I both got the numbers from Kaufman. It was an unbelievable amount of protests. And it's just hard for them to get through it. And as we sit here today, they've still got several million in protests.
Is it because of Kaufman growing so rapidly?
I think that's part of it. You know, it's one of the fastest growing places in the country. But I think that that's new property. That's happening. But also as property values are going, you've got more people protesting. So not only do they have to get all that other stuff, new property appraised, they've got to deal with all the people that are saying, I'm not paying that.
And, you know, as a Kaufman County property owner, I mean, they've certainly got some challenges around the processes they use.
But
You know, they've automated all this stuff, so, you know, you've got a 10-acre tract. It's on this highway that has no highway access. It gets appraised just like it does in highway access.
yes,
A lot of stuff that's a mess. Interesting discussion to have.
well,
That's a challenge.
A whole new set of rules about your ag exemption. And lots of people lost their ag exemption.
You know, they're kicking everybody off and then making it prove it.
Yeah.
and the game that we have to play is how much of that do I put in the budget, because the state law and the calculation makes me include a number under protest, which lowers, or excuse me, lowers that rollback rate. So I don't want to take it out of the budget in appraised value and then take it out with the rate. So that's the dance that the appraisal districts do with us, trying to figure out what do we really think we're going to get.
It's kind of a guessing game.
It is, if it's still, now I've got, the Anderson, I think, and Van Zandt, they don't have anything on the protest. It's the bigger places with more people, more, Henderson, and like I said, I don't know what Henderson has on the protest because I haven't heard from them.
How did we do a year before last on the guessing game? We did okay. Did we?
Well, we do because we try to be very conservative.
Yeah.
And like you said, Henderson said, include only 50% in your calculations. Well, the districts will tell you on average, they never lose more than 4%. I got Kaufman telling me they only lose 4%. I got Henderson telling me take out 50%. I don't mind, and I've told them before, I don't mind getting more money. Don't give me a preliminary number that I'm gonna cut the budget.
50% seems really.
Well, that's okay. I'd rather be conservative and get more money.
We're fortunate we can produce a budget that we can be more conservative. The same with our tuition revenues. We can forecast a flat tuition just because we have enough flexibility in the budget. And the same with the past. We can budget conservatively over the past. No, even though we are pretty certain with the work that Mary and her group do, and we're going to continue to see an increase. But since we do not have the actual numbers, it's just, we have the luxury because of our strong financial position to be more conservative, and the rest just becomes a blessing when it's all said and done. And when David and I were talking about the Kaufman, the big growth in Kaufman was actually the new properties that are coming in online versus continual increases in current property evaluation and stuff, the amount of new property that was online and so forth.
And that's a good point. We get to keep all of the new property back this year. What the rollback is based on is the value of property that was on the tax rolls last year. That's the calculation. Now, the following year, that new property, now you only get 8% of that. The thing I will tell you, and Jason, and I've talked about this, is they keep pushing things in the legislature. The 8% that we get to keep, they're trying to push that down to 3.5%, which a lot of other entities are already under that. And I'd hate to say it, but I think the day's coming where they're going to roll that back down.
Protest?
No, well, Or we could call you just representative.
It's with not only with the property taxes, but with the performance under the performance funding formula. Schools are performing better than the legislator had anticipated. And so now they're seeking ways to minimize the performance. They're eliminating
Change the
certain,
rules.
eliminating certain degrees. The certain degrees do not count for performance. So that's going to be a continual kind of over the next coming years until it kind of settles down a little bit. But the traction on some property tax legislation did ramp up towards the end of the session this year. And there is a couple things on the special session, but those will not have necessarily direct effect to us. Those with bond debt, things of that nature. But we'll jump over into the expense side. What I'm going to do is kind of highlight some areas that you see in increases. First one you'll see is travel. Travel is up $227,000. Well, $65,000 of that is to send the flyer to Carnegie Hall next year. So that's a great investment for our students. Then also we see increases because we've seen increases in size of our Student Government Association, our Phi Theta Kappa group, our Cardettes have increased in size, and some of our other student activity groups, which has increased in travel. So every time you take those things out, what you have left is just a general percent increase of travel costs. The next item I want you to point out is we did see a decrease in equipment purchases, about over $500,000. But then we're going to see an increase in repairs. Folks, we've talked multiple times. Campus has to be repaired, and we've been very aggressive with our capital projects and utilizing our regular budgetary process to address the major repairs on campus. Marcus has a $347,000 increase for identified repairs, renovation, and improvements to all of our campuses. The next increase is $525,000 to your services contract. Well, automatically $265,000 of that increase is the enterprise rental agreement that you remember we passed early in the year. So we see an increase in that as we initiate the process with that rental agreement. But we also took out the purchases of new cars, which saw the decrease in the equipment side. So you take out that $265,000, another $100,000 is a potential software application tool for dual credit. Dual credit is still in kind of the old school mindset of processing things through emails and direct mail. We are looking at a tool to help with the application process with our ISDs, because that is about 44 to 46% of our population. And we want to find a tool that we can help these counselors upload information and process information more quickly in the enrollment process for dual credit. And then we have an increase to our legal, that's part of that services. And also we are going to enter an agreement with the NIL product this fall to help service our student athletes. That's a $16,000 software partnership that allow our students to seek out NIL activity, and also will equip us as a college to better track our students, because there will be national reporting directed around that. So time you take all those things out, what you see is your general 7 to 8% increase in your service license agreements. The next one, you see a $247,000 increase in scholarships. That was $150,000 more. But since we have now received Pell approval for our Bachelor of Applied Science degree early in teaching, we were able to take out a majority of $140,000. I did leave some in that scholarship hold just for any high-risk student that may need a scholarship that participates in that new program. Then you have increases we're increasing the size of our rodeo team, our beef judging team. Our Cardettes are moving from 32 students to 47 students. And those students as freshmen are all allotted the same scholarship amount. Then we saw general inflationary increases to our athletic programs that need the scholarships increase to with the current market increase in food costs, room and board, and things of that nature. And then you remember back, we discontinued the top 10% scholarship. We moved that money over to the presidential scholarships, and we needed to add about $50,000 in order to carry out the last 2 years of those students that are in the pipeline for those scholarships. And the last increase in scholarships is a $50,000 increase for band. They're moving from 130,000 to 180,000 as they're estimated to have 60 students in the band this fall. So that attributes to the $247,000 increase in scholarships. The next increases are just inflationary increases with your utilities, around a 9% increase. Then, of course, insurance, we can't go anywhere without insurance increasing. And that was the last increase. And that's where you see the increases to the operational side of the budget. Now, with that all being said, add those up. David, will you share with the board where we sit as far as what we budget for our reserves based on board practices and also contingency?
As we established some time back, we have a certain percentage, 3.77, based on what the board's committee had recommended for going into cap reserve. This year, we're going to put in 2.6 million. That's monthly. We transfer a 12th of that each month. That's a $235,000 increase. With all that said and done, all the other stuff in, we've got $4.3 million in contingency. That is a placeholder. It's not allocated any expense at this point. And so quite honestly, it's the healthiest budget that I've seen since I've been here. And the city, when I was there, would have been very envious. Something like this.
Understanding how the rules change, with the legislature, I think it's really important that some of that extra money, we sort of pigeonhole that as much as we can, because they're gonna change the rules, which is what they do. It's richer than they thought it would be, and they have one of those negative surprises. Right.
As we work through the budget teams on campus, and I have to give a kudos to the vice presidents and their teams. We talk about things are very strong right now, but the day will come that it will be more, it'll plateau. Enrollment will plateau. So our growth will be based on completions, which, I mean, we'll see our formative tick up because of completions. But property taxes, all that will reach a threshold and will plateau. So we're not budgeting for today. We're budgeting for the coming years. What happens when that moment comes? And maybe we have a year that we're not as blessed as we have been over the last years. Now, do we anticipate over the next 3 years that's going to happen? Probably not. We start getting to the 5-year, we'll probably see some stabilization, depending on how legislature responds. Then you start getting 7 to 10, you definitely, based on how everything's playing out right now, you will probably see a plateauing. So, any questions about particulars? I know you've had opportunities with the budget book to review. This does include a 5% increase to salaries for our faculty and staff on campus. We work very hard to make sure we are taking care of our people and providing them the resources. And we are becoming extremely competitive now when it comes to recruiting people to fill those positions. There are still a couple areas that we're going to have to improve on in the physical plant and our facilities technicians. It's becoming increasingly difficult to retain and recruit those that have skilled trades for what higher education offers in those salaries versus the private sector. That is something that Marcus and I have already talked about addressing in next year's FY27 budget, because those are invaluable people that help us maintain these facilities on a daily basis. But outside that, we were able to address all other issues, compression, and other areas about the salary areas of the college.
The quality of this information is outstanding.
Jennifer Ball does a tremendous job in helping organize that. So
kudos for that.
And I'd like to say that when we, on our board committee, Dr. Easton and Dr. and I, we sat in a meeting, we got there at 1:15 and we were out by 4. And we had all the information we needed was concisely explained to us. And they did a wonderful job explaining this, and a lot of thought went into this. It was was a painless process, but we got a lot of information in a very short time. We thank you for how it was organized.
Yes.
And board, I did want to say that next steps, I'll have to finish the property taxes, make the final changes. And on the 11th, we'll present y'all the final numbers. We'll have a public hearing, tax rate proposal and all that. But we will do another summary sheet, like it's in the front, with the final numbers in it. You just don't have it just yet.
And then on August 11th, we can actually approve the budget at that time.
So will we have those numbers before the August 11th?
Yes, it may not be a full week before because we're here on the 28th and I don't have all the stuff from the presentation, but as soon as we can, there's not a lot. We just got to get the tax information
Right.
to go with the budget and we'll get it out to y'all soon.
And two.
More questions? Thank you all for that. President's report, Dr. Morrison.
All right, as we were stating, August 11th, we will, at 4:15, we'll have our presentation for the special board meeting for the budget, tax rate, public hearing. Then we'll meet again on the 25th. Before Tammy gets into her enrollment report, and I want to make mention, we also have housing nursing pending August 12th at 2 p.m. on the housing campus. And also, you've already been reached out to about Morgan about the ACCT conference in New Orleans, October 22nd, 25th. Before Tammy does her report, I want to say a big thank you to our athletic department because the All-American team came out on Monday, and our volleyball team was the top team in the country. Our women's basketball team was tied for third. Our men's basketball team, not only winning a national championship, was also top 10 all academic team. Our women's soccer team was all academic, and our women's softball team was all academic team. So congratulations to those teams. I mean, not only to be as successful as we are, if you remember, all those teams went to their national tournament, except for the soccer team, which posted the best record in its history last year. And so to be successful in both avenues is tremendous, and it's a testament to our coaches, it's a testament to our academic support coordinators, and the faculty and staff that support these students every step of the way. So we're extremely proud of these teams and their accomplishments. Now, Tammy, I'll let you give the enrollment update.
Good evening, board. Much like we had discussed at the last board meeting, our summer FTE, we ended up after our last census date for the term at 5.4% below what we saw last year, and a head count below 4.55. As we discussed at the last board meeting, much of that we're seeing mainly the shift from those fast students moving from summer enrollment, a lot of that shifting to fall and spring. So as that evens out over the next couple of years, we'll see that stabilization. As far as fall 25 enrollment goes, of course, we won't have official numbers until the middle of October. But at this point, looking really well. Below fall 24 official numbers, we are about 23% below those numbers and 21% in head count. When I compared that back to last July board meeting, we're in FTE between 250 ahead of where we were trending last year. So that gives me some confidence that we are still making strides. We had a good increase in enrollment and in FTE last fall. So, and we still have another 3.5 weeks left of enrollment for fall before our 16-week and 8-week 1 begins. And then of course we have 8-week 2 until October. So feeling really good about enrollment going into the fall semester. And we definitely have a busy few weeks, not even a couple weeks, few weeks left of registration, and anxious to see all the results of all the hard work of all of our employees getting all these students through the process and into classes.
Thank you, Tammy. Also tonight, we have a special presentation, as we've been talking a lot about the new bachelor's degree, the second bachelor's degree here at Trinity Valley. Suzette Stringer is here to give us an update on the enrollment and also some of the initial feedback, because we held our first ever orientation for those students. And I'll let her introduce her new prime time instructor she has that's truly going to be a rock star in that program because of her wealth of knowledge and experience. But we had our first orientation and it was a packed house, and there is a lot of excitement around the new bachelor's program here at Trinity Valley.
There is a lot of excitement. Most of y'all may know Daniel Williams. I was blessed by Miss Mary Helen. She let her leave full credit and come to me. Jamie Phillip has been a principal as well, so we came from the same world as far as education. I'm very, very excited. And thank you. Keep telling her thank you. So I think that we're going to be a great team. I know we're going to be a great team. Our minds are simple. We did have an orientation. We had 31 students attend. We had 8 that could not get off work. And so they are actually going to be doing a Zoom meeting with me on August and so we're excited for that. It was an amazing day. I haven't seen excitement like that except we're in the kindergarten or pre-K room. So they were all excited. We all had shirts on. We had a great picture, and I'm sure you've seen that in the paper as well. By that meeting, they went out and started talking. I had already had tons of phone calls. I've not only had phone calls about people wanting to start their bachelor's here, I've had lots of phone calls from people like SFA, East Texas Baptist, North Texas. You know, okay, I've been in their program, their bachelor's program. I hear you're doing this. Can you look at our transcript? You know, Courtney won today. So we're getting a lot of those phone calls as well about how, you know, if there's a way for them to transfer in. So, and of course, that will be something we'll be talking about as our program grows. That went on, and to their excitement, and then Mary Helen held her dual credit meeting, and of course, I think that was one of y'all's biggest y'all had. And so we were very excited about that. I've had lots of calls from principals, and in fact, as soon as the meeting was over, the principal superintendent rushed to my room and said, "I need you there on August 30th to talk to my paraeducators. I have about 20." She emailed me yesterday. She goes, "I have a lot of interest." And she says it's already getting out to our students, and they're also interested. So I have Mary Helen also introduced the six-year plan for our bachelor students to our superintendents and principals that came. And we have students who are just as excited. So we're building that. I'm gonna let Danielle talk a little bit about this.
So it's basically going to be a 4-year program with the first 2 years of teachers earning their Associates of Arts in Teaching and earning their associates there for the first 2. And then the second 2 would be their Bachelor of Applied Arts and Science and Early Education and Teaching, with them getting their student teaching and all of that sort of thing in their last 2 years of education. So it's a great program. I'm super excited about it. One of my dreams has been to work with future educators. That's one thing that I loved when I got into education to begin with. And so I'm super excited about this program and what it's going to offer to local districts.
One of the main points that a lot of the superintendents and principals brought up to me is they kept asking the question is, okay, are we going to get to keep our people? You know, are the pairs going to get to stay at our campus? Or if someone does their student teaching, are they going to get to stay at our campus? And the answer to that is yes. We plan to create this around the communities, because that's important. If you are letting a student teach in their school, they need to stay there because they're learning that environment, that culture, how those principals want them to teach. So yes, that is, and that's another one of the big pushes. And so We have a lot of visiting that we'll be doing with superintendents, creating those contracts between them and student teaching. So we're very excited, but yes, I get now and actually when they see my little tag, I have a lot of people stopping at me at Brookshire's and Walmart. Can't believe y'all have a bachelor's in education. We didn't even know a junior college could have that. And I'm like, we already have a bachelor's of nursing. I was getting my glasses today and that's all the little boy can talk about. So it's very exciting. I am. So anytime.
The only stress I'm gonna put on is that we might have to start a spring cohort, have to have fall and spring cohorts.
Yes. It's good.
But we're gonna get this first year under our belt.
Yes.
Because I think that is gonna be what we're gonna hear from having multiple starting points for that program.
I agree.
Which will just, we have a wonderful, wonderful core of adjuncts
Wow.
with a wealth of experience from all of our school districts in the area. And so what I'm proud about this, and some Suzette and I've talked about, is making sure students actually get a real life knowledge, not just a textbook knowledge, but a real life setting application, how to work and advance student learning. And I know Dr. East and I talk about this many times about, making sure we almost go back to grassroots and the real wrapping your arms around the students and giving them an environment to be successful and having teachers that are capable of doing so.
We discussed that in orientation about we want teachers that love on their kids again. So that we are a caring campus, Green Valley, and we want them to take that philosophy and take it with them.
And make it a real world experience for those folks when they come out.
Yes.
Because some of the four-year institutions, they want to make sure that you pass the test. But I don't know that they have enough real world experience
Yes, sir. I agree.
before going into the classroom.
And I think as we have both been principals, we have seen that when we've hired you and we've seen like exactly what you said.
Question, does Nevada offer this program?
They do not, I don't believe they have any bachelors at this time.
Weatherford and Dallas and Odessa. The Dallas and Weatherford actually were very helpful to us.
I think as we continue on the road with education type degrees, it's going to be kind of same as the nursing principle. Right now, we can't produce enough. I mean, we just cannot produce enough. The retirement cliff has not necessarily hit yet in education, but you not only have a retirement cliff, but you have a huge burnout cliff that's hitting. 3 and 5 year mark, teachers are leaving the profession, and that's leaving a huge void, especially for our rural school districts. They are struggling for recruiting and retaining teachers, and we set this up in the mindset that we were serving those schools to help grow their own so they can have a stabilized education. That's real important.
What are the ages? Is it a broad range of ages?
There's a very broad. We have the young ones, and then we have a couple that are near my age. I have one student that's, I think she's 55, but she has always loved to teach and so yeah, we have a very, very wide range, which is exciting too.
Yeah.
We're gonna get both worlds.
Well, they're already there, so this just gets them a raise. Well, thank y'all. Any other questions? Consider the minutes of the June 30th meeting. You have before you in your packet the minutes of that meeting. Do we have any comments, additions, corrections? Not, do I hear a motion to approve? Second by Trustee. Okay, and then next order of business, consider business, financial, and investment reports for May 2025. Ms. Hawkins.
Sure. Looking at real briefly the May and June preliminaries. I just want to point out tuition and fees, if you look at June, we're at 12.5. That's slightly even above, what we budgeted for next year. So we feel pretty good about that. I'll probably say most of our revenue is in. Not much, a lot has changed between, last month and this month. Your property taxes again, the 2.3 million. We don't have or haven't recorded as of this printing, that final state appropriation. They were a little late getting that to us, but we will have the 14 million reported by the time we do the next one, I hope. Again, property taxes 3.1 million ahead. The guy who's putting on M&O. Jason started talking about a lot of our services. You had new dining services contracts, software contracts, things of that nature. It just kind of to tie this in with the budget at the beginning of the year. In May, we're about 18 million revenue over expense. June preliminary about 15.9. I think if you roll that forward and you look at your budget sheets, you know, we're looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of 9 million-ish revenue over excess. And I wanted to kind of, that sounds like a lot of money, but you got to break that down. You've got $2 million in contingency as of May. You've got 2.49 that we're sending to cap reserve. And then if you take into account the 2 million from the state that showed up in February, if you put all that together, that leaves you about $3 million. That's just basic revenue over expense at the end of the year. That's kind of where we always wind up, and that's kind of how that $9 million shows up. Some of it was a little surprise in February. But again, down to that 3, that's usually about what we have left over. So switching over to the rest of the sheets real quickly. Into May, we've got a little over $44 million in the bank in cash. Scrolling down to your cap reserve activity, there's a lot of construction going on, a lot of projects. Y'all can see those listed there. Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped one. Back up. On your investments, 31.2 in cap reserve. And then scroll down a little bit more. Yeah. That's kind of the reconciliation. You can see all the construction projects that we have going on. They're listed down at the bottom of the page. Jennifer Ball also does this. I don't know what I would do without her. And the last page is your over 25,000. If anyone has any questions.
Any comments or thoughts?
Looked to me like we should have bought a roofing company.
Probably so. Throw in Terrell HSC and all that, we probably been a good investment.
They're a building, they're not putting a roof on, I don't know what it is.
We won't talk about the termites. From the roof leak, that was caused by the roof leak.
And hearing no more questions, do we hear a motion to approve the financials?
So moved.
Second by Trustee Day. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion carries. Consider and discuss contingency budget adjustments.
Of course, at this stage of the year, we always have some unplanned expenses, some usually repairs that have happened. Of course, we've been very aggressive on our renovation projects and things like that. So we bring to the board some contingency items. One of them, this was not necessarily a planned item, but through some partnerships in Palestine, we've been able to do some renovations to some rooms down there. We need to spend out a little contingency for the automation classroom for the flooring. Then, of course, the Lilies blessed us with a donation for the Music Education Center. We're asking for permission to spend $18,000 there for the new sign for that, for the new building or for the renovated building. And unfortunately, we've had some HVAC problems as always in July in the Palestine. I think was it 5 condensers that went out on what's called the bridge building. So 5 condensers, they were all 1990s model. So we definitely got our life usage out of them. And the last one just kind of popped up on us in the last few weeks. We're in the process through our train partnership of kind of doing some modifications to the HVAC system in the Gibbs building. But in the meantime, we had a major condensation problem that hit us over the last few weeks. And the building started leaking inside through the halls. So the insulation on the pipes has been compromised and has to be replaced on all hallways. And that's going to be before we get to actually replacing the air refresh system that Train's going to be doing, that's already been approved and part of the capital projects. So yes, the Gibbs building was unfortunately, it's went kind of sideways on us in the last month. And when I say it was condensating down the whole hall, it was down the whole stretch of the hallways, just ruined all the ceiling tiles, all the insulation around the pipes, so all that has to be replaced. And so we're asking board approval for these items.
Any discussion or questions? We hear a motion on this matter. And move up currency. All in favor? All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Item number 8, consider and discuss athletic insurance.
Yes, before the board, you have our athletic insurance. We are kind of making a transition. We were in the past years buying a straight out premium. And as our coverage, as costs have gone up, we're going to look at a hybrid model where we pay a premium and then we have kind of a self-pay model. We've looked at the last 3 years of what we've been expending for our, on our student athletes for injuries. And then of course, with this hybrid model, there is a top threshold. You reach that top threshold, the insurance kicks in and covers everything after. Based on our analysis, we should come in well under, knock on wood, that we have a good year of limited injuries. So that's why you do see the change from last year to this year in the premium costs, is because as costs have gone up, we feel and what we are actually spending, the institution would be better served going with kind of a hybrid premium self-pay model. And the way this works is we will upload into the system an amount of money and then we will spend down. And then we get to a certain point, if we need to upload more, we can. If not, then there's a savings at the end. David, did you want to add any additional information to that?
No, like I said, we put, or I put the full amount in the budget so we can track it. And what, as Jason said, what we're anticipating is that we will not spend that. So the cost that the insurance of the 109,255 includes, that's the premium, consultant's fee of 33 and the catastrophic 18,628. In case any policy goes over, I think it's 25,000 and the catastrophic kicks in. So we have potential, if you have a good year, to save money. Whereas when you shovel almost 400,000 out the door, there really wasn't much, there's no chance of recovery.
So the claims, it says here we have less than 10 outstanding claims. Will they fall under the old policy or?
Yeah, the old policy.
And so it doesn't affect these.
No.
As y'all recall, the way this policy runs is we'll pay the premiums, the 109 and 18 this August. And we're on that cycle because all the athletes come in August. The policy runs from August to July. And so we have to put in for next year the claims we might pay plus next August premium. So that's kind of the way this will lay out. It's a little different because, the claims part of it that we pay, kicks in essentially September.
And what's the cap on what we'll pay?
425,000.
Does anybody have any questions?
Basically, we're self-insured.
For the-
With the protection. in case
We got a
of-
cap on what our self-insurance is. But last year it was 382, and the maximum is gonna be 425 that you pay before it all, you get 100% benefit, isn't that right?
Yes.
And the caps on each individual event
It's 25.
No, it's a total.
is 25,000.
With a
There's a,
catastrophic.
there's a cap for catastrophic on each individual policy. But when it hits 425, we're done.
Yeah.
But if you have a year where you spend 250. So
Knock on wood.
You want to have any questions or comments on this?
We are expanding our athletic teams and. So,
We have more student athletes that are being covered as we bring in more individual players and so on.
I have a question. Will we revisit this in about a year?
Yes.
Steve?
When we come back next year, we'll be looking at the same thing, because obviously there'll be some inflationary increase, I'm assuming they'll probably raise their cap a little bit, because if you look from the increase from this year to last year, it's in line with the increase of just insurance. So I'm sure if they're already telling us on the employee side, there's an 8 to 10% increase in insurance, I can go ahead and tell you we can expect probably an 8 to 10% increase next year. But the good thing about this model, in which a lot of institutions are moving to, is you can have a year where you have lower number of entries. And so then it's a beneficial year to you. I think that, and if you do have something that falls outside where you have higher than average injuries, you do have the cap for kind of a protective nature.
What's classified as a catastrophic?
Anything that somebody would require to spend $25,000 or more on their
on that
bill.
plan.
So what one individual? So,
Terry's got a question.
What if our students enroll and they're still on the parents' insurance? Will their parents? be
yes,
second-
parents' insurance always is
Secondary?
first in this.
Okay.
I'd like to move that we accept that.
There's a second. Seconds. We had a motion made and seconded. Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, like sign, motion carries. Okay, consider and discuss policy update 49 and policy updates.
It's always at this time of year, CASB has their policy updates. And the board has been presented a novel of updates, and also this includes some institutional updates matching corrected positions with policy. Dr. Dotz is here for any detailed questions about any significant changes in CASB policy.
So, the update 49 came out, we will be getting another update later this year. That will include all the updates, for all the new laws that have gone into effect over the legislative session. I will also be going to a conference at the end of this week that they will go into detail on those laws and how they directly pertain to us as a community college. So, we'll be coming back with more information on that as well. But, as also part of our SACS process, we asked all the vice presidents and to get with their departments and to go through all of our policies and to look at every single policy and make sure that it pertains, is relevant to what we're doing today. And also that any titles, position, what have you, are updated and corrected. So that's what a lot of those updates are. We will have another batch for you, unfortunately, I hate to say. I know these are not fun to read, but we will have another batch for you probably at the next board meeting to finish up. We're probably about halfway, I would say halfway. Oh, and there was one new policy, I'm sorry, I wanted to mention this. So Mr. Gibson, had created a committee that we got together and we talked about AI. And because it's such a new and evolving technology, he felt that it was very important that we had a policy around using AI here at the college. And so we got a committee together and we collaborated on this policy. We submitted it to TASB and they let us put it in as a brand new policy in our policy manual. So if you have any questions with respect to that, Mr. Gibson.
Would you changes, go see?
Oh, yes, very much so. Are you talking about just going through the policies? I mean, oh, yes. And a lot, we found a lot of policies that were very outdated. They just had old titles that were not relevant. And we just wanted to make sure that it explicitly showed exactly what we're doing. Because when we go to SACS and they ask for our copy of our policy, and then they want to have evidence for us to support, say, hey, we're following our policy, that's what the end goal is. We want to make sure that that is set in stone so we can provide evidence and it all is cohesive.
When you work on these board policy updates, how long does it take you and your committee to come up with all this? Do you start like 6 weeks out or, you know?
So I think we started on this. There's a couple, and it's been like 3 months. Yeah, probably back in March is when we started going through and reviewing them. So it's a very painstaking process. It's a manual process. You have to go through and you have to read it thoroughly. It's not something you can just kind of glaze over and just say, okay, it's good. Because you just never know what's.
Maybe AI would benefit you.
Maybe.
I know when I was reading through all these, I was like, you know, so I
It's a lot.
wondered. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dot. Do we hear a motion to approve the updates? Dr. Easton makes the motion. Seconded by Dr. Curry. The motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Next item, there.
Looks like I got one more now.
Consider and discuss adult and continuing education handbook and tuition chart for 2025-2026 school year.
Before you have adult education handbook. And as you've said, tuition chart, just needing board approval.
Do we have any questions or comments on this item?
I enjoyed reading it. I liked it. It's very informative.
And we kept our tuition flat, right? Is that
On adult, Chris, did you have any increases in your charges? Chris Hicks is here for any information. Did you have any increases in your charges on your classes?
I'm sorry, I heard part of that over the air. Do you have any questions on your part? No,
No.
we've been able to maintain that and still make a profit.
There we go.
I like the way you talk. So we have a motion to accept the student handbook. Motion made, seconded, all in favor? Okay, motion carries. Consider and discuss fleet use policy manual.
Something we have not had at our institution is a fleet use policy manual. And thanks to Marcus's leadership and Ed Ratliff's leadership on this and creating a policy manual that governs the operation of our fleet and utilization of our vehicles. With the new enterprise partnership, we have better monitoring, tracking capabilities, and we wanted to establish some policies and procedures for people to know ahead of time what is expected of them in using a fleet vehicle. We're just needing board approval, and of course, Marcus is here for any questions.
Anybody have any comments or questions?
So I had two things. One is, so on the withdrawal of college driving privilege, it says conviction or a guilty plea to driving a college vehicle under the influence of alcohol or a illegal substance. I'm not sure why someone that had the same guilty plea or conviction driving their own vehicle would not be ineligible to drive our.
Well, it doesn't mean that someone who was convicted of that in their own vehicle would not have that
Right.
removed. Perhaps, but yeah, and I
You just ask.
think, well, I believe in I think that's addressed in another section,
Okay.
although not explicitly.
It's just a little confusing to me,
Right, also, they would not have driving privileges if they do not
review of
have
motor
driving
vehicle
privileges
records.
themselves. But upon reinstatement. that
So
would be-
what we will do, and which I don't know that we have done in the past, is a regular annual review of drivers' motor vehicle record. And so that is something, if it was in a personal vehicle, that's something that would come up in that report. And so that would be, yeah, we could add that to that list
I
there.
thought it was interesting to
I mean,
specify just to that.
I think that's a good point. If someone is found guilty of that, and then we continue to let them drive our cars, after they get their license back, we would have perhaps knowledge that they had
Well, the
already.
previous bullet point, a driving record that becomes deficient while inside a college vehicle, that could fall, I mean, I would think that would qualify as your driving record becoming deficient if you had a DUI.
I'm not questioning any of that. I just thought the wording was kind of interesting. To give them a pass.
No, yeah, it's just. But our goal with this is clarity, so if there's any confusion.
The one other issue I had, so personal trailers not to be pulled by college vehicles, so I don't know what the policy is for rodeo. I don't know how they do that. I mean, typically when I was working, we went in our own vehicles, we weren't using college vehicles, but I can see a situation where college vehicle, somebody's personal trailer may be more appropriate. Or further going what they're doing than trailers in college. So I just sort of, from having that experience, I'm just not exactly sure how restricted we need to be on that, or where the exception needs to, what that process needs to be, because I can promise you, there's gonna be a situation come up where either the show team or the rodeo team are gonna have to switch trailers, whatever it means. Whether it's unplanned emergency, there just needs to be guidance.
We do have a clause where I can grant permission. Because we do know in cases with the beef show team, a student may be a driver. And so there is a clause that allows me to grant.
Those are just, I mean, this is a new policy we haven't had, so I can see some issues coming up. And in practicality, when you go hook the trailer up, the axle's broke, the tire's flat, you gotta go, you're gonna have to make some decisions. Somebody's gotta have the authority to do that very quickly and not be in trouble for certain. And whether it's what we want them to do or not, we gotta give somebody judgment.
And like you point out, this is the first time we have a policy like this, so we're gonna learn some lessons along the way, and we'll need to do some revisions. So we're going into this knowing, we're not writing this.
Need to be careful what the punishment is gonna be, that's right. Because it's gonna come up.
Less than a DUI.
It's better clarification.
Right, yes, exactly.
What the exception was.
Thank you.
So you might consider the industry that we're using to use their fleet of cars and all. Let's see-
Enterprise.
Not Enterprise. Let's see what their thoughts are. On something like that. I think it's that sort of like, what would the clarification is.
And we did look at other colleges and their
Yes.
practices, and this was not just an invented wheel.
Well,
You know,
I mean, you don't want people pulling their travel trailer on the weekend in a school car. I understand that.
But if any emergency comes up, all it takes is reaching out to me, and I grant them, get the situation or Mark is reaching out.
Somebody's gonna have to have more authority than just you. You can't do it on.
Well, I have to prove the purchases on the credit card, so I have to be by my phone. Sometimes I get a text message at 11 o'clock at night because the football team's trying to buy Chick-fil-A and I have to prove the purchase.
That's true.
Unfortunately, that is very true.
I'm not trying to be picky, I just know just things that I read, just kind of.
This first year will be a good learning curve as we go through it.
Any other questions? Is there a motion on this matter? Charlie made a motion and second by Ron today. That motion made, seconded, all in favor? Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Consider and discuss personnel matters.
Board, before you have a review of all personnel updates since last board meeting, resignation, termination, non-renewal, retirements, new hires, and reclassifications, adjustment, and promotions. Just seeking board approval.
Any discussion? Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Mason made a motion and second by Mr. Goldfeld. Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Last item we have, is the, consider and discuss change order of automotive, building renovation.
Yes, one more item. As we go through the process and, we realized we may have cut in order to get our price down, we cut a little too much out. And we're asking the board to approve a change order, which allow us to keep 2 more additional roll-up doors in the automotive building. We're taking out some. We were going to reduce it down to 1 on each side, on the east and west side, and 1 on the south side. But in looking at the future, we think it's in our best interest to hang on to 2 more additional roll-up doors, 10-foot roll-up doors.
Any discussion, comments? We're here. A move on this action. Move. Seconded, trustee Perry. All, motion made and seconded, any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, like sign, motion carries. Thank you, Charlie.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Wait, it's seconded. Seconded by trustees. We are adjourned. All in favor, say aye. We are adjourned.
I didn't have the one that.